This is section, excuse me, section 5, starting off with assignment A. So, first thing we're going to do is you're going to not zoom page so that you see a little smaller document in front of you, because we're going to grab your rectangle tool and draw a rectangle that kind of stretches to the outside, kind of like goes around the outside of our document a little bit. Then open the fill and stroke panel, and if your rectangle is black or white, you must assign a color to it, because we're going to be creating a rhythm piece, and it won't show up as well against a black or white background. So choose a color to fill your rectangle, and then with the opacity slider, we're going to drag that to about 50% so that you can see, you should start to be able to see your document through your rectangle. So then once we have our opacity slider set, we can view, zoom, page, and good to get started. Next, we're going to go to our layers menu and open up our layers panel. I'm going to go ahead and minimize our fill and stroke, drag this out. Okay, click on layer 1 and type in background. I'm going to add a layer, and this layer is going to be called motion guides. Above current is fine. And then add one more layer above current and name this layer objects. Alright, next we're going to be drawing an object with the top-down view. So it's kind of like, otherwise known as a bird's eye view. So we're going to be looking down at this object. So go ahead and lock your background and then make sure your objects layer is selected so that we're on the right layer. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. And we're going to draw an ant. So first we're going to make the body of the ant by drawing an oval shape about like that. We'll need our fill and stroke panel set up so that our fill and our stroke is black, as well as opacity set to 100. So set your colors up as black and opacity 100. Okay, now we're drawing the head of our ant by holding down Control, clicking and dragging. We can draw a perfect circle. About like that, and then drag it over so it's just touching your oval, and then holding Control, click and drag to draw a little larger circle and align it with the body of the ant as well. So you should have something that looks like this. Next, we're going to be putting some legs on the ant using our Bezier tool. So I'm going to zoom in again just a little bit, grab our Bezier tool, and remember with your Bezier tool, by hitting Enter, makes you stop from drawing the line. So if we can draw and click and drag out and down just a little bit to make a line, and then hit Enter to be done. And we're going to put 3 legs coming out of the thorax of our ant here. Like so. And once you have your legs drawn, you can use your nodes tool to make adjustments to that if you wish. And now with our selection tool, we're going to hold down Shift and select all 3 of our legs, hit Control C to copy, and move our mouse over here and Control V to paste. Then up under this object menu, we can say flip horizontal, and that flips our legs around so that we can attach them to this side of the thorax. So now you can kind of mess with your legs and make some adjustments if you'd like, to just kind of change them up on your ant a little bit here. I'm just going to add some rotation to mine because no ant really has perfectly straight legs. And usually this back one, not that I'm an expert on ants, but we're just going to adjust these just a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Okay, you can also adjust the thickness of your ant's legs if you wish by selecting them all and going over to your fill and stroke panel and stroke style. You can increase or decrease your width, adjust the corners, and so on. So this should actually be 2 pixel. There it is. So you can thicken up your legs if you'd like to. I like mine a little thicker, like so. All right, next we're going to add on some antennae to our ant. So again, going back to my Bezier tool, I'm going to click, drag, and click again, then hit enter, and select that. Control-C, Control-V, paste, object, flip horizontal, and plant that one on the head as well. And then with this one too, you can use your nodes tool to kind of adjust your antennae to make it a little more realistic. Usually antennae have a little bit of a curve to them. After you've got your ant drawn, this might be a good time to save. So go ahead and File, Save As, and go find or make a Section 5 folder. And inside there, we're going to save this project and we're going to call it Movement. And hit Save. Okay, next we're going to convert all of our lines or our strokes to paths. So in order to do that, grab your selection tool and hold down Shift while you click on all the lines you made with your Bezier tool. And we're going to go up to the Path menu and select Stroke to Path. And you won't see any changes yet, but to make sure it worked with the paths selected, we're going to use the Fill and Stroke panel to give the lines a fill color. So let's see. You'd have our Fill tab selected, and then if you... Okay, so just to make sure it worked, you can see you can apply a different color to the legs, and if you hadn't correctly changed them to a path or to a path, then they wouldn't have changed color. So if you see color, you did it right. If not, you might want to repeat those steps and try it again. So you can go ahead and put those back to black for now. And next we are going to select all parts of the object and then group them together. So you can just hold down Shift and select the rest of the body of your ant. We're going to go up to Object and Group to group this to a single object. And then once you have it grouped, go ahead and size it down so that we will be able to, we're going to want to put a lot of ants over the page, so size it down so that you have more room to do that. So now we're actually going to put in some motion guidelines. So go to your motion guides layer and go back and grab your Bezier tool, and we're going to start making a curve on the left side of the page by starting in the bottom left corner and then clicking in the top right corner and dragging that out to make just a slight curve, kind of like that. And then hit enter to end that line. And then the next curve we're going to make is going to start in the bottom right corner and go up to that about that same spot and drag that curve out kind of like that and hit enter to end that line. And you can use your nodes to make some adjustments if you wish. I'm just going to drag that out a little further. There we go. So when you're done making your motion guides, it should look something like this. Next, we want to give some color to our guide lines. So hold down Shift and select both of those lines. And then in your Fill and Stroke panel, we're going to go and set the stroke color. You want to set it to something that is very contrasting to what your background is. So pick a color that will stand out well against your background, and then under Stroke Style, go ahead and set the width to 5 so that it appears a little better on your background. Okay, so now we want a bunch of these ants on our page, but instead of selecting the ant and doing copy paste a dozen times, we're going to select our ant and go up to Edit, Clone, and create tiled clones. So this should look a little familiar to you from previous assignments. We want to make sure our symmetry tab is selected, P1 simple translation. We want to have 10 rows and by 4 columns, giving us 40 ants. Then hit create. Go ahead and close that box. Now, before you click on anything, hold down Shift and push your side arrow over. That gives us, that's our original ant that we created. So these ants are still all linked to our original ant. So we can make some adjustments with that and affect all the ants at once. So now I'm going to rotate my ants just a little bit this way, and then I'm going to click and drag to select all of these, my little ant army here, and drag them up onto the page. And then what I'm going to do is individually now, I'm going to take and drag and re-rotate, oops, not that part, rotate these ants so that they're within my motion guides. And so I'm going to make it look like they're all moving up towards this corner. So go ahead and rotate and drag and reposition all of your ants to fit in your motion guides. If they don't all fit, you can delete some. If you need some more, go ahead and copy and paste some more, but fill in your motion guides here. So once you're done adjusting your ants, it should look something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as they kind of all look like they're moving in the same motion. And then next thing we're going to do is save this as a new name. So go back to Save As, and under our Section 5 folder, we're going to name this Movement, I keep the same, Movement _ Final, and save. And the next thing we're going to do is then go up to Edit, Clone, and I think we have to have, actually click off and hit Control A to select all of our ants. Go up to Edit, Clone, Unlink Clone, and that unlinks it from our original ant so that we can make changes to our ants individually without having them all linked. So one thing we could do is you can change the color of some of your ants. I'm going to select a few in here to just add some random color too. So green ants, no, I've heard of red ants before. Let's make some red ants. And I'm going to just turn off my stroke then. So you can add some color to some ants, whatever you want to do. And then the last thing we're going to do is go in and hide our motion guide. So it just looks like our ants are crawling all in the same direction, all in the same movement up into that top corner. And so once you have done that, hit save one more time, and then hit Control A to select everything. Actually, we can go ahead and delete this original ant. Control A, and we're going to export bitmap selection and browse to your certain folder here, and you're going to call this movement and export. And let's just go and check to make sure that file is there. Digital art, section 5, movement, and there you go. Oops, I'll go back in and unselect that and re-export it just so it doesn't get included into my bitmap there. But there you go, there's your bitmap, properly saved. So now you will want to make sure that you have everything in the folder. You're going to want your movement, the Inkscape file, the movement final file, and the movement ping file that we made. So zip all those up into a folder and submit to assignment 5A.